riding home from downtown Athens to my apartment, which you guys cannot know where that is. But there's been a lot of talk about recruiting this week and how Georgia, is recruiting defensive linemen. I'm sure at this point you may have seen the clip that's gone viral of Kirby answering a question about their team pass rush and how they recruit. So what's his biggest recruiting weapon? It's the draft picks. It will, as in my opinion, and maybe Matt is our recruiting expert, right? So Matt is our recruiting expert. But if you were going to ask me, what's Kirby Smart's biggest weapon in that regard, it will be the fact that they have so many draft picks. And they had a lot of draft picks before the last 2 years. But the last 2 years, all you got to do is show these young defensive players the list, right? Did Christopher Smith have a bunch of tackles? Did he have hundreds and hundreds of tackles? No. But he's an NFL safety now. Examples like that that weren't even just first-round picks. But he used the word silenced about, maybe a player that wants to have like a 15 or 20 sack season in college and wants to have that, and it'd be about them and that personal accolade. He said that gets silenced when we show them who's drafted, when we show them Trayvon Walker's stats, and then show the fact that he was the number 1 overall draft pick. We show them Devontae Wyatt's numbers, and then you see that he was a first-round pick. You show them whoever it is, for Georgia. You show them those numbers and all of that, and it tells you the whole story that you need to know. Because why are a lot of these kids and just, and all these guys in general, why are they playing football? Why are they doing this? Of course they want to win national championships, right? A true competitor wants and needs to win. They want and need to win. But the NFL is the end goal. The NFL is the end goal. It's what these kids dream of. Most of these players, right? Look, Stetson Bennett. Here's an example, Stetson Bennett. I know a lot about Stetson Bennett's goals and dreams to be at Georgia, but you cannot tell me that it wasn't part of his goal too to make it to the NFL. I wanted to be in the NFL when I was a little kid. I wanted to be in the NBA when I was a little kid, right? And that was just a very insane dream. That's not me, obviously. And for these guys who are this close, yeah, that's their end goal. And that, to me, is Kirby Smart's biggest recruiting weapon. On that note, I am going to take off and really hope that this doesn't mess up. I'll keep an eye. I'm not going to stare at the camera, but I'll keep an eye out for it. And listen, the newsletter, all of our insider information, not all of it, but all of the best information you can get about Georgia in your inbox every single day. The stories that we're producing, I can't say every single word here on the site, or I can't say every single word that we write on the site on here. So make sure you're checking out our free insider newsletter, guys. It's free in your inbox every single day. Every single Georgia story you could possibly want. That link is down below. And thanks for watching again. Look, this isn't over. As you can hear my messed up blinker. They don't have, it's tough to say that they don't have studs on the defensive line, because I do think Nazir Stackhouse is good. I do think Warren Brinson is a good player. I do think really highly of Michael Williams, and I think that Georgia's recruited a lot of really good players. It's hard when the expectations start to become higher and higher as more success it comes to this program, expectations get higher. So when you see that Michael Williams has, I don't even remember, 5, 6 sacks, it wasn't more than 6 or 6.5, and he's your sack leader, and Michael Williams is probably going to develop himself get developed at Georgia and play his way into being a high draft pick. Right? I'm not sitting here and giving you a guarantee stamp that Michael Williams is going to be a first-round pick, but out of the guys on Georgia's defensive line, that's the one you kind of point to as, okay, well, that's a guy who can be a high-level pick. Well, that's a guy that reminds us a little bit of Trayvon Walker, right? That's what you hear. So Michael Williams is probably your next best example, even though he'll have to wait until 2025 when he's first eligible for the NFL draft, right? But, older guys like Zion Logan, Nazir Stackhouse, are those guys first-round picks? The answer is probably no. I do think that there is more buzz around Stackhouse as far as his potential and everything goes. But these guys are going to work their way into being high-level draft picks. Nolan Smith is an example. Now, listen, part of why Nolan Smith was such a high-level draft pick is because of his physical intangibles. And most of these guys have crazy physical traits, right? Michael Williams is long. Zion Logue is long. So these guys are going to test into getting drafted. These guys are going to, and they're just going to be part of a winning culture and program. And they're going to be developed in a way that in the development up here in the brain, and obviously as a player, that you're just not going to get at most programs. Look, Kirby did take a lot of what Saban did at Alabama, and he brought it here, and he put, I say here because I'm in Athens. Also, Red Zone shirts, by the way. I've got one on right now. I was repping that today. Boom shirt. I will link this down below. I will link this shirt down below. But make sure the newsletter, you're checking out the newsletter as well. I'll put both of those links down below. With these guys, they're getting developed in a mental way too, right? And that part of that comes with the championships. But Kirby Smart's biggest weapon will always be all these first round picks, all of these 3-stars that are getting drafted, right? Because make no mistake, they go out and they get the players that they want, right? No matter what their star rating is. And if there's a guy who's a big-time 5-star that maybe is going to be a diva and wants his, then Kirby and staff is not going to recruit that player because that's not a trait that they want at Georgia. They want a guy who can play that team pass rush like Michael Williams was talking about earlier this week, and who's willing to sacrifice and really grind it out and do the work, because that's how you win. And developing winners helps get players drafted, which is why players choose to go to programs like Georgia and Alabama. Why do you think Alabama has been the premier destination for so long? Because they won, they've got the guys, and Nick Saban produced NFL talent. Plain and simple. Those guys were going to the league and going to the league and going to the league. Remember that 2016 defense that all ended up in the league, and the defenses from the early 2010s for Alabama? So many NFL players. And that's what's happening at Georgia. There are like 13 guys. I don't have any numbers in front of me, obviously, because I'm driving. But there were, I think, at this point, 13 guys from the 2021 defense that are in the NFL now, that were NFL draft picks. And when you count in the ones that get drafted this fall, or this coming NFL draft a year from now, when you count those in, it'll be even higher. Even if they were in just extreme reserve roles and only played in garbage time, they were a part of that defense. But those main contributors, 13 of them have been drafted already. And that is an unreal number. That's your starters plus 2. Your starters plus 2. That's what they did at Georgia. And that's what they did at Alabama for a long time. And that's why more and more of these players are going to keep coming to Georgia. And Kirby Smart was a part of that winning culture that helped push out all of those players at Alabama for those years, obviously, when he was there. That transfers to Georgia. That's his biggest recruiting weapon. It will always be the draft picks, in my opinion. Winning championships is right there with it. But at the end of the day, what are most of these players' goal? It's to make it to the NFL, right? Whether that's a realistic goal for them or not, that is the dream of many of these players, if not all of them. Thanks for watching. Links are down below.